Four-man rush. Rodgers to the end zone. And Wilson, can he one-handed and stay in bounds? They say he was out. Out.
Pocket, you're there to throw. You only run when you have to. It's DeMercado breaking away! DeMercado goes the distance! Touchdown, Cardinals!
With a great Surtain on the other side.
1st and 10, down the middle, look wide open. It's Flowers again, and he breaks the tackle, and he's off to the end zone for a Baltimore touchdown.
Alrighty then, football fans. Week 10 is already approaching us. We're at the midway point of the season. It's ridiculous. I can't even fathom the thought of football flying, but I have enjoyed getting in here week in and week out and talking football with you guys, talking the hottest topics and the biggest games from the prior slate. I really appreciate everybody who's been sticking around this whole season. For those of you that have subscribed, I thank you greatly. For those that have not, if you're new to this channel and you're watching right now, hit that subscribe button on the screen because this content's going to be going through the regular season, into the playoffs, and to the pinnacle of the sport, the Super Bowl. But without further ado, we have some NFC West talk to get into, my best individual performance from Week 9, and Garrett Wilson saving the New York Jets season on Thursday Night Football against an AFC contender. We'll start it off with the NFC West. It may not be the toughest division in football, but it certainly could be one of the most competitive. I think the NFC North takes the cake for toughest because you got at least 3 out of the 4 teams in the NFC North that are top dogs in the NFC. But the NFC West, it's going to be a nail-biter race until the very end. You have right now the Cardinals sitting pretty in first place, 5-4. You have the Rams and Niners tied at 4-4, and Seattle drops to 4-5 after they lost to the Rams in a thriller this past Sunday. With the Cardinals, who will come out on top in the NFC is the question here that I'm going to propose and give my answer and want the answer to from you guys. Who will come out on top in this NFC West, which is very tightly contested? I'll give you my pick, but I'll start off with the Cardinals, who are in first place right now. I don't think that will last down the stretch. Jonathan Gannon, I think he's doing a great job as the head coach of the Cardinals. Kyler Murray seems to be getting into more of a groove. I like how they implement the rush attack in their games. They come off a big win, 29-9 against Chicago, but that win was primarily on the backs of the running backs. 207 yards from Emari Demercado, Trey Benson, and James Conner. 2 touchdowns from the unit as well. I know Trey McBride rushed for a touchdown as well as a tight end, which is pretty weird, but pretty awesome at the same time. Emari Demercado really almost put the game away, I could say, with about 5 seconds left in the half. They're just going to run it out, and he ends up breaking it for a touchdown, and Chicago is left just with their hands up like this. 0 touchdowns for Caleb Williams, so that speaks volumes to that Arizona front. And 241 total yards. That's all that Arizona allowed. So not the best by any means for Chicago if you're a Chicago fan. But the Cardinals, it looks good, but I just don't know if they can sustain their winning ways moving forward into the season. They got wins over a good Charger team. They beat a Bears team that we still don't really know what they're going to be, but we know their offense isn't good by any stretch. And they beat Miami, who's been obviously discombobulated this entire season with Tua. Their losses, however, came against all playoff contenders. The Packers, the Lions, Washington, and the Bills. If you want to make the playoffs and you want to get at least far into the playoffs, you got to be able to beat the playoff caliber teams. I know it's the regular season, but it obviously does matter when it comes down to seeding, especially in a division like the NFC West. So I'm not going to pick the Cardinals here. Then we look at the matchup that we had, that 26-20 win over Seattle for the Rams in that overtime game. Stafford to Demarcus Robinson, a one-handed haul-in for the game winner. Prior to that, to get into overtime, we had Geno conducting a drive. He had 3 interceptions on the day. He was having a very rough day, including that 103-yard interception touchdown by Cameron Kitchens. Took that back into the house from the end zone to the opposite end zone. So not the best day for Geno, but he led a drive down the field. He finds Smith and Jigba to force overtime with a little over a minute. He drives down. But ultimately, Stafford and the Rams and McVay out-coaching the rookie head coach in Mike Macdonald. I think he's the youngest head coach in the league. Don't quote me on that. But Mike Macdonald in his first year with Seattle, he gets out-coached in the end by McVay. The Rams have a really good defensive front with Kobe Turner and Byron Young and the rookie Jared Verse, who just harasses offensive linemen. Braden Fisk had 2 sacks in this game. So this is a good really good Rams defense, an offense that finally has Nakua and Kupp back into the mix. Demarcus Robinson has emerged as a star in this offense. They were without Tyler Higbee. He's on the IR. So a lot of injuries for both teams, with Seattle not having Noah Fant and DK Metcalf in this game, and the Rams having many injuries on the offensive line and in the secondary. These are 2 teams that have been kind of beat up from injuries throughout this season so far. But the Rams, I think out of all of these teams, the 49ers were on the bye week, but they have their own issues with Brandon Ayuk being out for the year. CMC may be coming back for week 10. We don't know, but he's obviously been out. George Kittle has been banged up throughout the season. Juwan Jennings as well. I know that they've been without Dre Greenlaw on that defense, even though that defense is still fierce. So Kyle Shanahan and his 49ers team have had a lot of injuries to deal with as well. But when it's all said and done, I just broke down the NFC West for you. I think that the LA Rams come out on top. They have a tough schedule in the last 3 out of the 4 games of the season because you play your division. That's where the division is going to be won and lost, I think, for all of these teams. But I think the Rams do it. I think the Rams can beat the 49ers. They took them down by a field goal earlier in this season. I think they can beat Arizona, even though Arizona whacked them in week 2. I think that they'll be able to, I think McVay will outcoach Gannon in that one, and they'll get a dub there. And then they play Seattle again. I think they take those 3 games and they play the Jets in that span of 3 out of 4. So we don't really know what we're going to get out of the Jets. I'll get into that later on. But I think that McVay and the Rams will take this division and make the playoffs. What say you? Let me know in the comment section below. Moving on. Best individual performance from week 9. Who do you guys got? I got a player from a team that just had a very bad loss to a bad Browns team, but Jameis Winston leading them to the dub last week. They needed a bounce back. They needed to have a great game against a team with a rookie quarterback at the helm in Bo Nix. I'm talking about Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens, now 6-3 on the season, contending in that AFC North, trying to beat out the Steelers. When it's all said and done, Lamar Jackson has a get-right game. And the reason why I give him the best performance of the week is because he didn't even have to use his legs in this one. He shows you that he has passing prowess, and he can get it done with the ball through the air. 16 for 19 for Lamar Jackson, 280 yards, and 3 passing touchdowns. He only had 4 rushing yards in this game. He used his arm for the entirety of the game. And it also helps when you get Derrick Henry, because the Ravens, outside of the Lions, look like the scariest offense in the league. Derrick Henry rumbled as well for 106 yards on 23 carries and 2 touchdowns. So really, I could make this a 1A and 1B, but for the sake of making a hardcore pick, making a pick, I'm going to go with Lamar Jackson in this one, romping the Denver Broncos 41-10. And the honorable mention here, I'm a Packers fan, as you can see, but I can give credit where credit is due. I went with Lamar here, but an honorable mention would be Jared Goff, 18 for 22, 145 yards, and a passing touchdown in those rainy, wet, damp conditions at Lambeau Field when the Lions have had the claim that, well, they're only a dome team. So let's see how they fare in the outside conditions when the going gets rough. Well, I'll tell you, they got tough. So an honorable mention there to Jared Goff. Who would you guys pick? And to conclude my Week 9 breakdown, I'm going to talk about Garrett Wilson saving the New York Jets season by his fingertips. Garrett Wilson and the Jets go out on Thursday Night Football and get a 21-13 victory over a formidable Texans team led by C.J. Stroud and DeMeco Ryans at the helm. Jeff Ulbrich, first season as a head coach, and he is able to outduel Ulbrich. He gets the game ball at the end of this game, but the Jets come away with a monumental victory to stave off getting eliminated already from playoff contention. Not mathematically, but pretty much if they lost this game. They needed to get a W. They did so. They improved to 3-6. Gangrene's odds at the playoffs are now at 18% to make the playoffs. I'll give you two recent examples of teams that started 3-6 and went on to make it. The Green Bay Packers and the Los Angeles Rams, who I just spoke highly about. This Jets team, now 3-6, they were battling adversity. You didn't have Elijah Vera Tucker in this game. You had John Simpson getting beat up. You had to use 4 tackles, obviously Tyron Smith and Morgan Moses, but you also had to use Max Mitchell and Olu Fashanu, the rookie, because Jake Hansen was also hurt. So the offensive line was beat up. Aaron Rodgers looked hobbled. In the first half of this game, Rodgers looked very old. It was not looking good. 32 passing yards. He matched his career low in the first half of the football game. He had 32 passing yards in the first half. Couple key drops by the wide receivers, including Devontae Adams, who cost the Packers. He's already in my head. The Jets points in that first half. You had Malachi Corley dropping the ball, the rookie wide receiver dropping the ball before he crosses the plane in the second quarter. What are you doing? And Jeff Ulbrich came out in the postgame and said, first of all, you can't do that. Second of all, you now owe us. And you definitely owe people that took first-time touchdown from Malachi Corley. If for the bettors out there, I think it was like $5 to win $700 and something. So you cost a lot of people for those that hammered that, but most importantly, you hurt the Jets there. And in the first half, 69 total yards through 6 drives for the Jets in the first half. It looked like the season was just going to crumble apart and that was going to be it. But then they come out in the second half, 69 yards through 6 possessions. They come out in the second half, their first drive, a 70-yard drive, and they get Garrett Wilson with his first one-handed haul into the end zone, 4-6, capping it off with 7. The Jets are back. They tie this thing up, and they go on from there, and Aaron Rodgers, the Cayenne Pepper King, is what I'm going to refer to Rodgers as after Thomas Morstead gave him the key to longevity, as he called it. 22 for 32, 211 yards, and 3 passing tutties for the old man, Aaron Rodgers. His wide receivers showed up big time in the second half. Devontae Adams, 7 receptions, 91 yards for a touchdown as well. In the fourth quarter, he put the dagger to put the Jets up 21-10. His first touchdown as a Jet. Garrett Wilson, 9 receptions, 90 yards, 2 touchdowns, and the touchdown that was the catch of the year. It may not be the play of the year, because when you look at Jaden Daniels last week with that Hail Mary to walk it off against the Bears, the Hail Mary to Noah Brown, that in my opinion is the best play of the year, but the best catch of the year, undeniably, is Air Jordan Garrett Wilson. I mean, look at this. This guy fully goes up and extends, mosses Lassiter, and brings down a touchdown by the shin of his leg. His shin touches the turf. You can't get much better than that. Who had the best catch at MetLife? OBJ in 2014 against the Cowboys, which I was actually in attendance for, which is pretty awesome to be a part of history and see that live with my own 2 eyes. Or Garrett Wilson in a game-saving situation for the Jets, a game that they have to win. He comes down and makes the grab. Who had the better catch? What do you think about it? Drop your comments in the comment section below. This Jets team now has to go down the stretch in the next 4 very winnable games. I mean, Arizona's coming off a big game, a big win against the Bears, but I think they're beatable. The Jets play them in Week 10. Then you got Indianapolis, who you can beat. They just lost on Sunday Night Football to the Vikings. Seattle, they haven't been playing the best. They're up and down. You can beat them. And then Miami, who has been up and down all over the place with obviously the health of Tua Tagovailoa. The offense has not looked the same. He's back now, and Devon Achane had a big game this Sunday. But I think these are all 4 winnable games for the Jets. You have to continue to win moving forward at 3-6, obviously. But these are winnable games. So let's see what Gangrene can do. Let's see if they can make some noise. What do you guys think? I want to hear from you guys in the comment section below, but stay tuned. Packers video coming this week for my cheeseheads. And obviously next week, Week 10, there'll be more content.